Hi there, this is just a quick video to run through the ScotArt resource kit, and basically I'll just be running over the various parts of it and how you might want to set up beforehand and how the activities will play out. So basically I've put a little bit at the start just saying before starting, and this is just pre-set up that you can do to save yourself time on the day. So basically, you can put up lots of the sort of cues for different activities. So for the introduction, you might want to put up a picture of the ScotArt hero image and the ScotArt criteria, and that's just a picture there as well of how the sculptures are going to look when they're in the flaming heart at the end. And Ariel has all those resources with her, so it should be pretty easy to just stick those up on the wall when you get there. The next thing you want to do is set up various boards, flip charts with the questions for the end of each activity. So as you can see behind me, this is for Circles of Scotland, and that's just got the kind of basic questions on there. And also a board just where you can put up ideas for the symbol throughout. So if you hear a good idea, you think, oh, that might be one we want to come back to at the end, you can just put it up on there. And it gives you something that you can kind of say when you're coming up with that symbol, you know, oh, someone said this earlier, this might be a good idea for it, what does everyone think? It can be really useful so that you're not kind of drawing ideas out of people at the end when they're like, oh no, I don't have any good ideas. And the next thing you can do is basically just, as it says here, just setting up for each of the activities. And as I said, those resources Ariel has and will be able to guide you on how other people have done that. But it should all be pretty self-explanatory. So the first activity really is just a quick warm-up to get everyone introduced. So if there's young people from different groups, they won't know each other's names. So basically I have a beach ball that Ariel's got in her kit, and it's got different questions on it, and the idea is you just stand in a circle, throw that beach ball around, say your name, answer the question. It's just quite an easy way to get everyone sort of more comfortable in each other's environment. The next thing is just running over a kind of agreement on the day, and that's really just saying, you know, today we're going to be working together, we're working as a team, it's important that everyone listens to each other, respects each other's ideas, and it will just kind of hopefully set the tone for the day in terms of having that like really kind of productive engagement. And then finally just mixing the groups up, because if you have people from the same group working together, they may find that they're not as comfortable at the end for, you know, coming up with ideas outside of their group, if that makes sense. Quite often we find at the end, if the young people have stayed in groups that they know the young people they're working with, sometimes they'll vote for an idea just because it's something their friend came up with rather than their favourite idea for the symbol. So it's just a good way to get people sort of mixed and working together. And that's as easy as just lining people up and counting them off, or have them line up in birthday order. We did a kind of one where people had to do that without speaking, so they had to say their birthday. So if you were, my birthday's April 1st, so they'd have to go 4 and then 1. And that's quite a fun way as well to get people working together. The next thing is just an introduction to ScotArt. That should be pretty self-explanatory. And as I said, there's all those kind of prompts, pictures and stuff that you can point to when you're explaining the project. And also it's really important to come back to the criteria of the symbol. You know, something that's iconic, unique, representative, positive, and something that can be made into a sculpture. And then you have a kind of quick 5-minute warm-up activity. Those are pretty simple as well. Again, that's just to get people in the mindset of thinking about their region. And then the main bulk of the workshop is made up of the Our Region section. So the first one is our Circles of Scotland. And basically, that's something you can set up beforehand as well, really easily. Just writing, a basic diagram like that on a big A3 sheet, so lots of people can draw on it. Just with home at the centre, then the name of your region, and then Scotland. And basically, then you're asking the group to talk for 2 minutes about what's important to them at their home. So that might be their dog, their bed, video games, anything. In their region, so that's going to be something more specific, to the what we're talking about on the day, really, and that's 6 minutes. They'll talk about that, and then another 2 minutes just talking about Scotland, and that just gives the kind of the difference between what's important to them in Scotland and what's important to them in their region, and seeing kind of how those are different things, maybe. And again, those questions at the end are something that you can refer to and feedback with, and having those up on a board is a really good way to kind of stimulate conversation throughout. The next activity is Picture Perfect, and you should have received a number of pictures basically from your region, and those are trying to cover the different categories that are in the next section, which are iconic people in history and tradition, nature and geography, food and drink, architecture and landmarks, skills and industry, and art and culture. Obviously, certain regions will have more of an affinity with certain categories. I use the example quite often of Glasgow as somewhere where it's very much arts and culture, but maybe there's not as much nature as you would find in other regions of Scotland. So basically, they have 5 minutes to look at each picture and discuss the various questions that are down there, and kind of choose their favourite two, and also if there are any particular ones that they're drawn to that they think would be good ideas for their symbol, they can write those up on the symbol ideas board. And then this one kind of flows quite nicely into the next one, where as you can see, I've got a whiteboard up here, and this is how it should sort of be set up, with the whiteboards around the room with the various categories on it, and you can have those again set up beforehand. And I've got architecture and landmarks, and these just happen to be ones from the Orkney and Shetland pictures. And I've got Skara Brae from Orkney up there, and a Jarlhof prehistoric site from Shetland up there. And that's basically at the end of the Picture Perfect round, you can say, okay, well, if you want to go and put up your pictures under the category you think they fall under, and then spend 1 minute trying to come up with other ideas that would fall under that category, and they can just write those down with the marker pens. So if I put up another one, there's the Standing Stones of Stenness, and another thing you might want to put up, if you didn't have a picture of it, you could say, okay, the Churchill Barriers is a very iconic part of a site and landmark in Orkney, so you might write that up. And so on, and so if they then put up their next picture at a different category, then they can spend a minute there discussing as well. So it's kind of getting them thinking about the different ways you could define a region, and different ideas that may come across in all the categories. Indeed, certain major parts of a region, maybe those features that kind of transcend categories and then cross in between them, and that might be something where you're thinking, okay, this is a really defining factor of our region. And again, there's questions at the end that you might want to have up to refer back to and for feedback. And again, asking if there's any ideas that they came up with that they want to put up on the symbols ideas board. And finally, we come to our symbol. Obviously, this is the kind of crucial part of the day. So it's important to leave enough time for this, really. If you feel like you're a little bit tight on time, of course you can adapt this workshop to suit your timings on the day. You may feel like you want to leave out one of the activities beforehand. You might decide to skip the warm-up. You might decide that you don't want to do the categories one or the Picture Perfect, and that's really up to you. It is really up to you how you want to run this on the day. So it is good to sort of have a good plan beforehand, but also be open to the fact that some things might take longer than you expect. So it's not a failure to not get through all the activities. It's better to have a good, meaningful engagement than it is to necessarily race through all the parts of it. So, as I said, leaving some time at the end for choosing the symbol is a really good idea. So again, having them go into their groups, they remind them of the criteria again, so you can refer back to that. And basically give them 5 minutes in their groups to choose out of all the things that they've been discussing over the past hour or so, a symbol that they would like to be representing your region. You can again reminding them of those criteria. So it's about 5 minutes to 5 or 6 minutes to discuss and agree on a symbol in their group, and then a further 4 minutes, I guess. If you give them 10 minutes in total to choose the symbol that they want, and then to draw a little sketch of it as well. We think that's important just in terms of showing that it will be something that's visually represented, obviously. And then basically 5 minutes for each group to kind of show their idea for the symbol, a little bit of discussion, see if there's similarities between them. Is there any kind of very obvious theme throughout the choices? And that's it may be very obvious that there's a certain thing that all the young people there are drawn to. And then it's unless there's a really obvious consensus on the thing it should be, then it's likely that you'll have to run some form of vote. And again, this might be a good time to mix everyone up a bit again, and really remind them that you're not voting for the one that your group necessarily came up with. You're really voting for your favourite, and you're all working as a team on that day to choose the best symbol you think for your region. And so, different ways to do this. You can obviously run the vote where put up all the ideas on a board, have everyone put their hand up once per round, and eliminate the least popular choice, and continue and do that. Keep voting each round until you're just left with one. You could do a sort of blind vote where they close their eyes and put their hands up. That might be helpful in terms of kind of preventing bias. You could have them write down their votes if they wanted. Another idea that people have come up with is voting with their feet, so putting the different symbols up on the walls around the room, and then putting everyone in the middle of the room and encouraging them to go stand next to the one that is their favourite. So there's different ways you can do that, and as long as you kind of do it in a way that's kind of fair, and in most cases everyone leaves really happy with the result, which is great. And then it's really passing over to Ariel. There's a lunch break for half an hour after that, and then it will be Ariel leading that creative session alongside the young artist in the afternoon, and the role of the champion is really to just support in that respect. That's pretty much everything. Please let me know if you have any questions about the resource kit, if there's any things that I can do that will help you in leading your session, and please just let me know. Thank you very much. Bye.